I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational.
You can do it!
But that just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life.
We've done it. Yeah. We have done it. Oh my gosh. I'm back on the podcast.
Stephen Chang's back.
Good Lord.
I'm
back, baby.
Guess
and so
who's
are you.
back? Back again.
Steven's back.
Tell a friend.
Damn, harmonized.
Yeah.
Oh, man. To the dozens and dozens Project Reclamation listeners, it is nice to be back. I hope that you guys have missed me. I know I've missed you. I know that I've missed you guys.
I haven't gone anywhere.
No, Tim, you've been hammering this out every single week. If you hate Tim's voice, you will hate this podcast because he is here every week without fail. He's
I wish
on
you
all
and
of these.
JB would do one without me one day.
No, I wish so too. I don't know if I can pipe in or tune in to his mechanics or workings of the computer machine.
You'd have to figure out how to use Adobe Audition or Audacity or something like that.
Or something that begins with an
Osteransky,
Yeah.
ostriches,
Adobe ostrich,
pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl.
How fucking frightening would giant flying reptiles be? Or birds. I guess they're just like giant birds, but like a giant bird that was like the size of a small hang glider.
Oh, look, I'm no dinosaurologist, but were they not reptiles? I thought they were reptiles that just flew.
I don't know.
But
I think so, but then there's the whole thing about like the more they learn, the closer they say that dinosaurs were to birds.
Yeah, well, I thought birds were the reincarnate or the continuation of dinosaurs.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a
Jurassic Park? Yes.
No, what do they call them? Terror birds?
No. What is this?
Dude.
Terror birds, like Terror?
Yes, sir.
Wow, this sounds absolutely terrible. Puns. Insert pun track. No, I have not heard about it. Or I'm sorry, I've actually never heard about it. But this, just hearing about it,
so there's like
itself
two different
sounds
ones.
Terrible.
There's like two different ones. Here we go.
Wow, there's two of them.
I'm gonna butcher this.
Okay.
Forest racists.
To make up stuff.
Forest racists.
Wow.
No, it's PHORUSRHACIDS.
That's
Forest
psoriasis.
racists.
I think that's like a skin
psoriasis,
condition.
colloquially known as terror birds, are an extinct clade of large carnivorous flightless birds that were the largest species of apex predators in South America during the Cenozoic era.
Ooh.
Their conventionally
That's my
accepted
least favorite
temporal
era.
range covers from 62 to 1.8 million years ago. Here we go for some pictures. Let's see Steve's reaction.
They have some of those Australian birds with like the blue head, and they look like ostriches. But
a cassowary.
Like, yeah, and one of them
they'll fuck you up, dude.
Well, yeah, one of them killed another guy who had owned it. He had killed the dude, and then they had to wrangle him in because he's a murderer. That's a murderer cassowary. And so, yeah, that's the only thing I know about. I mean, that bird in and of itself, and that bird's 6 foot tall or something like that. And obviously his foot are size 22s, but they're all just claws.
All right, so here's the two main ones. And there's a silhouette of a military person that we're just going to assume he's a 6 foot tall guy with all his gear on.
All right,
so
here we go. What the hell? No way.
Yeah.
That can't be that big.
Yeah, dude.
It looks as though it's one of them looks as though it's like a puffin. But
one?
just the one on the
right?
yeah, the one on the right. Yeah, just an aggressive. No, the other one with the orange bill.
Oh yeah.
Just
he's a long ass beak though.
There's no way
The other
that
one
could
is
be a real
This
animal.
one's way bigger and stockier. No, they're real.
Well, that animal would eat everything.
I don't think it's that big though. I think that's.
But I mean, if it were that big, it's well, shit. I don't know how. I don't know how does that thing. But I guess it was different times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's trees everywhere. There was plenty of foliage everywhere. I just don't know how those things survive.
There was a bunch from dude. Look at this freaking monster.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Look at those legs though. Those legs look like it's one of those child's drawings where there's they draw little stick figure legs on it. Cuz those legs look like those flamingo legs where they're all skinny and they're all long, but then the rest of the body looks like a T-Rex. And you're like, this looks like an animal that would have easily been taken down in the wild. If I were a brontosaurus, I would just step on it or something like that.
Yeah, dude. And then there's this one, man. I was watching some video where they had like a remake, like, you know, they like it was an animation of something, like some dinosaur kind of shit. And there's this freaking bird. I think it can fly too, but then it would like walk on like its feet, and then it would use like its elbows of its wings. And
walk on all fours.
And look, it's like as big as a giraffe.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, dude. I don't know why we're talking about freaking dinosaur birds.
You know what? We never know. When you step into the project,
no, dude,
you're like,
you never know what you're gonna get, man.
You never know what you're gonna get.
It's like a box of chocolates to a Forrest Gump.
Yeah, but not as hopeful or as desirable. Maybe just
no, man.
Oh yeah, it's like this is all nougats. You know, the nougat nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Those are the worst ones, by the way. Oh, you'd bite into like a Cease candy, like, you know, what is it, like those little random assortment ones. And you'd bite into it, and then my parents always got those mixed ones, and I was like, just get the ones with the just, like straight up just chocolates. Don't get like the ones with like the nuts and the other chocolate. That shit sucks. And they'd always just keep on buying it. I always like for a long time I always thought that's just how they sold them. No, they sell them where they're all just sort of different sorts of chocolates, like real chocolates. I was like, why did I have to suffer for so long with the other like? Are you
talking like Cease candy?
Yeah,
yeah. Well, you can even. I think it's the same price per pound, no matter what you get. So you can literally handpick the ones you want in there.
Exactly. And my stupid parents were like, oh, he's like, yeah, we'll go buy these ones. And they always bought the ones with the stupid like chocolate and nut ones. And those are the worst ones.
Oh, yeah. They have like the nuts and chews, I think it's called.
Yeah, those are the worst fucking ones, dude.
Somebody likes them.
Not... When I had realized that they had like... Because I was like, oh, they spice these in here because nobody wants them. So you have to get them. Then I went to like a Cease candy store. And like, dude, you don't have to get any one of them. I mean, you can get one that's like straight up, like all straight real chocolate, you know? And I was like, dude. I was so bummed.
You can get the chocolate butters and the mochachinos or the mochacellos.
Yeah, there's like ones with like raspberry in it. There's one with marshmallows in it.
Mochaduchios.
Sounds good already. Better than those fucking nut and chocolate ones.
Cappaduchi.
Oh.
I'm just making up fucking words now.
Well, from psoriasis, the dinosaur, to this thing,
psoriasis
I would have
birds,
been shocked.
Forest racists.
Oh.
Yep.
I would have been shocked. Brother, man, this is why...
Maybe the bird just needed like a hug and some Cease candy. And
there's no way you could hug that bird.
Well,
you hug that bird and you're missing your face.
You can hug a bird.
Head.
I was driving and I was at a light and this fucking giant, like black and white spotted, I think they call him Harlequin Great Dane, sticks its head out the back seat of a truck.
Oh.
I was like, oh, look at you, buddy.
See?
Look at you.
You like big dogs.
I love big dogs.
Yeah. Like, I don't necessarily am not the biggest fan of big dogs, but that doesn't mean I don't like dogs. That just means I just can't see how you can control like a big dog. If a big dog like that, Great Dane, right? You're walking him around, then all of a sudden he sees a squirrel and just wants to take off for it. There's nothing stopping that dog from pulling your arm out of your socket, let alone like dragging you.
Nope. No, you gotta establish the pecking order.
Yeah, well.
Did you hear that noise?
I did.
What was that?
I don't know. I thought it was a mechanical. I thought it was like
someone was drilling through the wall.
Oh no! It sounds like they're doing some work.
They're drilling through the wall to attack us and kill us.
It's cassowary. It's a psoriasis bird.
Freaking cassowary psoriasis bird. But see, the cassowary is not going to eat you. Like they just attack you if you corner them.
Is the cassowary not going to eat you? Would it not bite or like stab its like beak into you or something like that?
Computer. I don't know.
I've never been attacked by one. If you've been attacked by a cassowary,
I have.
Please dial in the Project Reclamation.
I have, however, there's an ostrich farm near my parents' house that you can go to, and our parents' house.
Yeah,
you can feed the ostriches, and those things look like fucking dinosaurs, dude. They have like dinosaur legs.
Oh,
they're crazy.
They are.
You could feed them, and it's frightening. They give you like this. It's like a dog bowl screwed onto a metal dustpan, and you hold it, and they go bang, 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 bang. Dude, they hit that thing so hard when they take, and they eat like little, like, I don't know, bird pellets, dog. They like, it looks like kind of like a dog food or something you'd feed like a guinea pig.
A GP. What up?
Jesus Christ.
Dude, you're getting text messages.
Facebook?
You get Tim in your Facebook machine.
Can't turn off the notifications. Anyways. So yeah, I don't know, Facebook, Instagram.
No, dude. I'm just saying, if you ever see, like people like ride ostriches, right? Like I've seen that happen before, as sport or fun or game. And I'm like, dude, that ostrich can turn around its neck and probably pick out an eyeball of yours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm like, and then I heard there's smelly, foul creatures too. Like not like foul as in bird, but like foul, like just smelling creatures too. Because like, you ever watch that show, by Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs. One of his dirty jobs was like he went to an ostrich farm. He's like, yeah, Mike Rowe, and blah 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 blah. And then he had to replace the water every day. Like they're like, oh, time to replace this water that all these birds drink. And apparently, like the birds have some type of upchuck or some type of thing where like whenever they drink water, they also like throw up a little bit in the water too.
That's fucking weird.
Well, yeah, absolutely, it's weird. But then and then he was like emptying it out, and there's all the sludgy like goo, like at the bottom of it. And it wasn't like water, like stale water, been there forever kind of goo. And then he was like smelling it, and he's like, oh, this is the most foul thing. And I was like, oh, it looks sludgy. It looks gross.
I don't know. Don't know about ostriches. I know birds and reptiles have cloacas or cloacas.
Yeah. That's like
so everything
male
comes
organ,
out of one
female
hole.
organ. Yeah. Ugh.
It's everything, dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's why when a bird poop is like liquidy, because it's like their pee and their poop at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because they only have one hole.
Golly, I don't want to think of birds. But I will tell you that my favorite birds were always like those little tiny brown ones that you see like if you're just eating at Pan Express or you're just eating outside.
Oh yeah,
and they like
little,
just hop, like little cheap
sparrow,
birds.
swallow.
Yeah, I don't know what they're like
looking thing, but
they're like
brown.
3 inches or 3 inches by 2 inches. Yeah, and they just they hop around. They like pick up little crumbs. I'm like, dude, these ones are so cute.
I like ducks. Ducks are kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah, there
was a duck where I was with Jeremy. We were over here eating like at the somewhere place.
Yeah.
And there was a duck just cruising around. I'm like, dude, where'd you come from? There's not water anywhere near here.
Well, dude, you got the San Diego
I know, the river's right there. That's probably where he came from. But he was just chilling, dude. He was eating all these like people's French fries and shit.
He knows what's up.
He was a happy little duck.
That's the best, dude.
But yeah, dude.
I was gonna say, dude, people always go like, oh, swans are so beautiful. Oh, swans are so beautiful. I'm like, all right, cool. Check this out. I was walking around Denver recently, and there were a bunch of like, oh, we have this like little lake. We were walking around this big old hospital thing, like for the Colorado University or University of Colorado, whichever one you want to say it, like medical campus. And it was like they had these beautiful like swans just kind of floating around, walking around. And then of course, guess what? You walk around swan dump alley, dude, like swan poop alley, bro. Like they just poop everywhere and they don't care. And it's just all on the sidewalks. It's just all everywhere. And they're just like these big old roadblocks, dude. If you had like a wheelchair and you're like a sick person and you're trying to wheel yourself through like fucking Swan Dump Alley, you'd be like boom, 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 boom. You'd be
was that bad? It was like built up?
Yeah, but it's just like they just shit everywhere, dude. It's
bird
insane.
poop is disgusting,
especially that one because it's like that's gross.
Swans are weird, man. If you've ever been to like an embassy, have you ever been to an Embassy Suites, the hotel? I think it's owned by Hilton, but
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've been.
So Embassy Suites, if you look, like their logo is I think it's two swans or one swan. So at almost every single one, they have in the lobby, they have some sort of body of water and swans that just swim around. But I'm just like so weirded out. I'm like, have the swans ever? And I think there's like a little bit of land they can kind of climb up on, but they could easily just hop right out of the water, just go walk around the lobby, go walk out the door, go down to the casino,
smoke a cigarette,
buy a hooker, buy some blow, whatever the fuck they want to do. And I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, the guy at the front desk, I was like, how long have you worked here? He's like, oh, like 8 years. I'm like, how long has the swans been here? He's like, oh, they had just gotten these two when I first started working here. And I'm like, dude, do they ever like attempt to get out? And he's like, you know what? I've never even thought of it, but no. He's like they get, but now they obviously they take good care of it because there was no like swan waste anymore. And swan they're pretty birds. Like geese, I've encountered some angry geese at like lakes and like on golf courses, like geese that will fucking attack you. Fuck you, Facebook. I need to should I just turn the...
I would just turn the volume down, bro.
There we go.
Unless you're getting blowed up by one of our old high school...
No, the problem is I never go on Facebook. So when I open my computer, I think it automatically opens some form of Facebook in the background. Right now? Nothing. Oh. No. Literally, whenever I turn on my laptop, I get all these notifications from like 3 or 4 days worth because Facebook must automatically open in the background. I'm not smart enough, nor do I... have the time. I have time. That's a lie. But I don't take the time to figure out how to turn that shit off. So anyways, somehow, yes, whenever I turn on this laptop, Facebook somehow starts sending me notifications when I don't even have an Internet Explorer or Chrome or anything open.
Classic.
Don't know how that works.
It's LinkedIn.
Wait a minute. Is Instagram connected to Facebook?
It's owned by Facebook. I don't know.
Okay, because I do have an
connection is.
Instagram app, so I'm wondering if that logs in
Do you have
automatically.
an Instagram app on your computer?
I do, for the sole purpose of posting shit for Project Reclamation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I make the videos. We do like little 1-minute snippets, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put those on Instagram, but I can't do that from my phone because it's too much. I don't know. I make them
Too much
here.
memories.
It would be stupid to. So, anyways, yeah. But you can't just go on to like Instagram.com. So I had to download like an app for my. Why am I talking about this shit? I don't know. Speaking of Instagram, you like Instagram. Are you back on Instagram?
No, I've been back. I've been here and there on Instagram. I don't post
Okay.
anything. I don't really post anything.
So what do you do on Instagram? Just
just
like
go-
you just go look at all the butts?
Well, yeah.
The girls posting their butts?
No, that we had a conversation about this. I had a conversation about this yesterday. Actually, I was playing tennis, and I was like, okay. And then there was like, I was playing tennis with a few healthcare people, right? And one of them was like, oh, she's doing a competition show like for her fitness competition. You know, where they like, where the men and women
it's like
work really hard.
bodybuilding, but for like the fitness ones.
Yeah, they're
it's
not
like
for
IFGG, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's literally fitness.
Yeah, exactly. And trust me, what they do is beautiful.
Like fitness, dude. The fitness girls are hot.
Yeah,
Bodybuilding chicks, kind of frightening because they probably kick my
No, but
ass.
either which way, it shows dedication, right?
Oh,
like you gotta,
dude, I am not. I was
You're-
purely speaking from an attraction level.
No, for
to
sure,
myself.
for sure. And trust me, like the men who like diet and they bulk up and they diet somehow too, and they get big or skinny or whatever competitions there are for men, it's crazy, right? Because it shows like all that dedication. But one of the hardest things is that like you see a lot of Instagram models and stuff like that, or quote unquote, you hear Instagram models, and you like all they do is just show their butt, like you're like, and it's so funny because I was like, I don't really like going there anymore because honestly. It's just a lot of like women like reposting, and that's good for you if that's how you feel confident, if that's how you make yourself feel confident or whatever. But like, it's just a little too much. Like if I was in my 20s and I was like,
One, it's always like I feel like a lot of time it's like accompanied by some sort of motivational quote.
yeah,
But it's like, is it really motivational or inspirational? Well, and there's a lot of guys too that'll post. I mean, even like The Rock, like we love The Rock, but sometimes he'll post stuff that's like him, deadlifting or something, and then some inspirational quote. But I think what we wanted to get into was weird noises everywhere.
no,
I think what we wanted to get into was, at what point does something go from inspirational to just kind of making you insecure? Maybe insecure is not quite the right word even. I don't know.
No, I think it's the perfect word.
Like if I look at something like The Rock is doing all this shit that like I was like, wow, this is just a reminder that I'm fucking like I'm just like inferior.
I don't make. I'm not the highest paid Hollywood
making
actor.
millions. I can't deadlift that much weight.
I'm not in 4 movies
can't
at
do
a time.
Pull-ups with a chain with 67 pounds around it around my neck. I can't do all that shit.
That would just hurt my neck, man.
Well, whatever.
No, but isn't that so funny though? Because you look at people who like are really, really so dedicated, and what is that crossover point where you like look at something? Now I've looked at. There's actually a guy that I follow on the internet, and he's. I don't know if I should give him a
I'm
shout
glad you said on the internet. It's
Or
not
on
just
the-
there's this guy that I follow around town.
I'm just stuck. I'm just
walk around.
That's my
Sometimes
little scooter.
Sometimes I sit outside his house.
No, but he's one of the more inspirational things about him is that I think when I was younger, there was a look to being Asian American, right? And being like Chinese guy, like you had to be skinny, you had to be small, you had to be like kind of karate, and that was it. But this guy, on the other hand, and he's like one of these like pro weightlifter bodybuilder kind of dudes, but not in like one of those bulky, like can't even see your neck kind of ways. He's actually just a super fit dude, and he always like is posting, and he's like also like training his clients as well. I follow him because he hits me on 2 levels. One, he's a good Asian American guy. He's a good representation of what I would like to see as more Asian American people like out there being like strong and healthy and breaking the mold or stereotype. You know what I mean? And then it's probably the same reason. Think of any stereotype and think of like the one person that goes against it, whether that be in education or physical fitness or physical ability or agility. You're like, wow, that's like inspirational because I thought that I could never do that or be that way.
If only I could find an Italian person without greasy skin.
Yeah, exactly.
If I could find a German person with a good sense of humor.
Just a dry Italian person. You're like, wow, that guy's my hero. You know what I mean?
Italian with ashy elbows.
I know. Just he doesn't look like he's a fisherman or something like that. Just like he doesn't
look like he coats himself in fish oil every
olive
day.
oil like all day and stuff like that.
As I run my hands,
I know
my
your
fingers
hair is
through
looking
my
extra
olive oily hair.
Your hair is looking extra like
dude. The longer it gets, the
Italian.
curlier it gets.
Dude, I like it, bro.
I hate it.
I think you hate it because you don't know how to respond.
I have no idea what to do with it.
Dude, you're doing it, man. It's laying on
kind
top
of
of your
like,
head the way it's supposed to.
It's like these guys who all the guys, like 99% of the guys that follow these Instagram models, like, oh, I just want to go on a date with her.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know what to do with her if he did.
You know what's so funny is that you look at people and you're right. The difference is between inspiration and insecurity, right? Because I think sometimes what's that cross? Because I know that there are so many women and so many men too that will follow like somebody like an Instagram, a fitness person or something like that. And they go, wow, she really, really inspired me. He really, really inspired me to go to the gym today. That's awesome. But then when is it that you got to go, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for months, almost a year now, almost 2 years now. I don't still have that same definition. Oh, now I'm just like, no, I just don't feel good about myself. And now I know I fell short of my goals of looking like this person or being like this person. And that's kind of like that little double-edged sword with, I think, like social media platforms.
I think for me, I mean, but I like to, you know me, like, I mean, the
you
reason,
are, and we've talked about this.
The reason that I'm into, like, the reason I get into conspiracy theories and stuff is because I really like to look behind the curtain, or at least try to look behind the curtain. I try to ask questions. I mean, I question everything. I trust nothing that I hear because every story you hear, including the fucking legitimately published textbooks that we read as children, like, only tell half the story.
Well, because
some stuff
history
that they say,
history was written by the winners.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know, what is it? Yes, that is true.
Yeah. And
then, I mean, we know for a fact there's been people in history who had control over certain things like textbooks that actually took stuff out of the narrative.
Oh, dude.
So for me, it's just like, I love to pull back the curtain and try to see what's behind it. So when it comes to like these kind of people, I really like to like flip the script, and I want to turn the lens back on them, because I kind of, and I don't always, there's no way to know the answer a lot of the time, but I kind of want to know, like, does this person really want to inspire and motivate people, or are they more about self-promotion?
Sure.
And I feel like at some point it's kind of obvious.
But here's the difference, though. The difference is that I think if you're on that platform, and I will have to speak to this, I will have to say that, like, you are not only a person that just likes to kind of unveil the curtain, but you are also a person that's very, very kind of self-centered. You know who you are. You've always been like strong with like, who you are and how you go about things. And I don't necessarily know if you, I don't know if there's anything that you've ever succumbed to or you've felt like insecure about. I mean, everyone's got insecurities, but I don't know if there's anyone that you've ever like seen. You're like, oh man, I failed myself like that.
No. Most of my failures come from my own.
From your own undoing.
My own undoing. My own self-destructive nature, my own addictive personality, my own stupidity.
Yeah, but I will say this though too, is that allows me to like honestly have faith in you, saying that if you're going to look at something with an examiner's eye, you'll actually really, really kind of put it underneath a microscope in a fair, balanced practice, because I think you aren't necessarily influenced. Like myself, I'm like, wow, look at that person. I hate the whole city of Boston because I hate their sports teams. Oh, now anyone that comes from there, I have like a little jaded or side view of them. But then getting back to the original kind of like secondary topic is that, you know what, if it is about self-promotion, you know, versus inspiration, isn't that why you're on social media? Isn't that why you're like doing it for yourself? I mean, aren't you there to promote yourself? I know other people are going to go, no, I really did it to do it for other people, but
they're not. I'm going to go ahead and say they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You're not one or the other, but I think that there's a 51% and a 49%.
Sure.
And I think the people who come out kind of in my eyes that come out more golden or probably have a better message are the one who are 51% want to motivate other people, and not the self-promotion.
Sure.
People. Now, dude, obviously The Rock is self-promotion because he wants people to go see his movies and shit.
Dude,
you know?
And you also get a chance to like actually, I will say this, I've never met The Rock, and I know that you probably have never met The Rock.
No.
But we certainly have a good running account about who we think he is through his own filtered
there's
social media.
Between, not even counting movies, but just you look at interviews and articles and stuff. I mean, there's hundreds of hours of stuff of either who The Rock really tries hard to make people think he is, or who he actually is, and that's fine. But I mean, but The Rock aside, because he has all kinds of different interests, and
let's put aside all these like really, really big.
No, but so I'm talking about, like, let's talk about, you mentioned Instagram models. Let's talk about people who are literally famous just for their Instagrams.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people like that, dude.
Of course, they're now it's again, it's back to the double-edged sword, because they're if they really do want to help people, then they're going to help more people by more self-promotion, because then more people will follow them.
Yeah.
But I feel like half of these girls who just show their butts all the time, they have the same 150,000 followers.
Yeah.
What the fuck is
probably
up with that?
I don't know. I mean, what it is that it's just like a quick way. It's like it's instant. I guess porn. You know, it's an instant like turn on, right? Like, you see it and you're like, oh, cool, you know, and then you can kind of just move forward from there.
I'm going to follow her.
Glimpse.
I'm going to follow her and say inappropriate things in DMs.
Well, I don't know how that all works. You know, I'm not like that advanced of a social media user to do all this DM stuff, but I did meet somebody who was like trying to explain it to me, and she's like, "Oh my God, I DM'd Pauly D, you know, the guy from
The Situation,
or Jersey Shore.
Well, he's not the Situation.
He's the guy with the hair.
guy.
Like
he's the DJ
gel
guy.
back hair. Yeah,
he's the DJ guy.
He's the DJ one. And she was like, "Oh, I DM'd him," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "I just told him that he was real hot, and if he ever wanted to like, you know, meet me up." And I was like, "Really? Like, you just offered up your body to somebody that you don't even know just because you thought he was hot?" And I mean, I get it. It's just it's an instant way of like, you know, one night stands now. Like, right, you see somebody in a bar and you're like, okay, wow, this is really it, and you just have something in common that maybe you guys are at the bar and then both of you guys are horny, and then you guys just go home together. It's kind of like that whole deal, you know?
I'm all for that, dude.
Okay, and I think it's fair because if you're, here's what it is.
If it's two people just looking for something fun and they're all on the same page, I've given advice to plenty of people. There's nothing wrong with, and sorry, Mom, for what I'm about to say.
Ooh.
There's nothing wrong with whether you're a girl or a guy. I don't think there's anything wrong with going through a phase where, you know, you kind of whore it up or go on a lot of dates or whatever it is you want to call it. My whole thing is as long as you're honest, always honest, because, you know, if you want, now, I mean, I'm not at the point in my life where I'm just looking for one night stands or anything like that. But if you're in that place and you're honest about it and you don't lead someone on or lie to them, then.
And that same person wants the same thing too. You're right.
If they want the same, there's always a good chance that two people think they want the same thing. And then one of them ends up.
More.
Yeah.
Sure. But
there's a lot of fish hooks there. But as long as everybody starts off kind of on the same page, I don't have a problem with that.
No, for sure.
But the whole, like, the internet has made it weird, though, because, yeah, like, now, being a dumb, 30-something-year-old white dude, mildly attractive, with an outline of a phoenix on my arm.
Sweet.
I don't know that I would get any answers, but, I certainly have the ability to go DM a bunch of semi-celebrities or full-blown celebrities and offer them my body if that's where we're going.
I guess
with
you
this
have
whole thing.
access to people that you.
It's
kind of
cool, but here's what I will say though: like,
whether or
you
not
can
they respond to you or not,
it doesn't always have to be about. Oh, I think you're hot. Like, if you're ever in town, want to fuck? Like, because I mean, that's how I originally reached out to Brent from Sofa King, and that's how I ended up meeting those guys. I DM'd Brent on Instagram.
See, and that worked out both for you. I assume it worked out for him too, mutually. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't really know what. I mean, I guess I've
given him plenty of shout outs here on this.
We give them plenty of shout outs so that the dozens and dozens of listeners can
Project Reclamation
listen to Sofa King. But I mean, I bring them tequila. So
dude. So, and like, trust me, it never hurts to meet another friend out there in the world or another.
No, and the cool thing is, I haven't met Dave yet, but through the process of just what started off with a DM, they helped us get our podcast going. We may or may not. I was talking to Brad about maybe doing some collaborative stuff at some point.
A collab.
That would be kind of cool. The problem is, we're here, they're there. JB's somewhere else, so it's kind of hard. But
those are all the nuances. One of the biggest things that you're kind of like taking away from everything.
No, but it's cool though, because like I actually I would consider Brad and Brent like legit friends now. Like they're friends of mine. Like they're good dudes. Like,
that's awesome.
I could text Brad right now and be like, "Hey, I'm coming to Bakersfield next week," which I am. I should probably do that.
Dang.
But anyways, so I mean, it's very cool. But yeah, it also there's I guess more just horrible things you can. We're kind of just talking in circles on this whole subject, but I mean, I think it's an interesting one to dive into. I don't know that we have answers for this.
I guess I have a. You're right. I don't think anyone has the answer because it's so individual, right? What you decide,
and it's such a fucking mess too. Like,
here's what it is. Like, when it is that my always belief was that, especially at my age and stage, is that if I'm ever on these social media websites and I look at something and I go, wow. Sometimes I look at like travel places, right? There's one website that I follow and it's like, oh, okay, or one Instagram page, or whatever it's called. And it shows you like all these cool places that you can go to in the world. And they show you of course, they show you it at the best time. And they show you it at the most luxurious moment with all the colors and all the filters to make it like pop. The funniest one that I ever saw, though, hand to God, was this. As we know, I lived in Washington, D.C. for some time. And my experience of it is what it is, okay? It's not necessarily great, but it's also not necessarily terrible. But one of the funnier things is that I always used to go run around when it's cherry blossom season, right? You never knew when it was really going to hit. You think it's always going to hit around like late April or something like that, early March. And so people always like try and plan like this, but it could happen anytime in this 3.5 week block, right? So you're like, if you plan it early.
The blossoms literally, it's just like a few days within a 3 week thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking crazy.
No, but it's beautiful. It's one of the things that I would say you have to experience in life, because it's so pretty when it happens. But then the weather could be so shit. It could be gray. But of course, like when you see it on this web filter thing or this Instagram thing, of course it's the sun's peeking through the Jefferson Memorial, and it's just illuminating the tidal basin, and you see all these like pink little pink and white little. It makes it look beautiful, right?
And they put some they put some LUTs in their thing before they plugged it into Lightroom, and then they might have photoshopped the colors a little bit.
Photoshopped the shit out of it.
Yeah,
probably.
dude, they went all fucking Peter McKinnon on that.
And the funniest part is that what goes from what's the difference between inspiration and then insecurities, right? In the sense where I'm like, oh man, like if I never saw that before, I'd be like, oh dude, I definitely need to go see that in my life. That inspires me to get out of my house and do all that stuff. But the insecurity portion of it is like, I have seen that before. It certainly doesn't look like that. And I was there for 6 years, and all the 6 years that I was there and I saw everything like that, never looked like that a single day in my life.
Yeah,
like that I was down there.
Well, it's like I bet you anything. There's like a little like a commercial kind of snippet advertising the beauty of San Diego.
Oh, I'm sure.
And most of those pictures and little videos, I'm gonna be like, dude, it doesn't look like that. But then there's been times, you pick someone up from the airport and you're coming back around.
Oh, dude,
and you have the ocean here.
You
and
see that San Diego Bay, the downtown, all the little boats are in
and I'm
there.
like, dude, that actually looks better than a picture I've ever seen of San Diego.
True.
So I think for me, you just bridged the gap here. You just boom, you sparked my mind here. I was in a little bit of a mind lull. I think it's all marketing. And marketing is not necessarily bad, but you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Marketing has so many different
well, I mean, it's just like you're saying you can make anything look good. So I think if there's some girl or some guy that you follow, and like you have to understand everything that they put has been filtered and possibly focus tested and all sorts of other stuff. And it's the best of the best of the best. Have you ever ordered a cheeseburger from Carl's Jr. or McDonald's or whatever and seen it actually look like it looks in the ads?
I know.
Hell no.
They shoot up
Hell
and make it
no.
look like that beef is the juiciest patty that you've ever seen in your whole life.
Oh, yeah, and then apparently, now you could do Photoshop, but apparently back in the day, like when I was a kid, I think it
was all plastic or something like that.
Some of it was plastic, and so was they'd use real food, and they put it perfectly, and they just spray it down with hairspray, so everything stayed in place, and that kind of like locked it in, or maybe they even like sprayed it with some lacquer or something.
Like they had this like really, really pretty much uncooked butterball turkey, and then they would just like heat steam like some,
or maybe
like,
even spray, like literally airbrush it, like not airbrush the picture, but literally airbrush like the food.
And that's like kind of what we're touching on too, is that like you're inspired to like, oh man, this like stuff looks beautiful, or I'm hungry for this kind of food, or I want that type of body, or I want to have that type of experience, like vacation or otherwise, life journey experience. But yeah, don't necessarily don't trust your heroes, right? Don't meet your heroes sometimes. Right. Also, don't look at that as like the primo example of what you need to be. You can kind of use that as your inspiration, but maybe you can honestly do better than that.
If you're talking about flying halfway across the world or something, do some like if you see a picture of like Tahiti and you're like, that looks beautiful, I'm gonna go on a limb and say Tahiti probably is beautiful without even but do some research, find some actual people who have been there, make sure it's not just a marketing thing. I think originally we were talking about kind of fitness type people on Instagram or just people who put forth some sort of a health kind of or any sort of, even if it's a positivity thing,
any sort of
outer beauty message. I'm just eating my words and eating the microphone today. I think it really boils down to one thing. Like if that motivates you, then keep paying attention to that person.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel insecure, then drop it.
Yeah.
Because the version that they're showing you of themselves that makes you insecure is that they may be just as insecure as you. That's a funny thing. But yeah, I think it comes down to, dude, if something or someone, if their message helps you kind of do better and do the things you want to do, then fuck it, dude, follow them. Yeah. Whether they're being genuine or not, you don't have to be you don't have to be a skeptic like me.
Follow them, but don't be a follower. Like don't follow don't follow your, I guess, don't let your happiness like go down this trail of like, oh, well, I'm comparing myself now.
I'm not exactly like The Rock in the next 9 months. Then I'm going to consider myself a failure.
How does she have this? How does he do this? How do they have all that? Fuck all that.
I'm going to move to Fontana and start a meth lab.
I think the biggest thing in the world is that like I want people that are listening to this to be like, yeah, I want to take as many inspirational sources as I can. But when something stops or strays away from being inspirational to like it causes me insecurities, then I think you have to be strong enough in those moments of inspiration where you're building yourself up, you're building your confidence up, you're building your strength up as an individual. You have to be confident enough to like be like, okay, time to cut the cord. Absolutely.
Because I think something that we talk about negativity and positivity all the time, and JB likes to talk about negativity being like fast food. Sometimes it tastes good
for the moment,
but it's never good in the long run.
Yeah.
by the way, started a 30-day no carb challenge.
All right.
Today's day 3.
Yeah, how was
I
it?
already lost 4 pounds.
Dude.
Yeah.
Nice, brother.
Got,
I will say that, dude, you've tried a lot of challenges, like, and this isn't a negative thing. I'm saying you've tried like a lot of challenges. You've done a lot of like stuff. Like,
this was just me. Like, I was literally sitting at home on Father's Day with my parents and Shannon and Nick. And I was like, you know what, guys? I need to take carbs out of my diet for at least 30 days. So who wants to join me? That's all it was. It wasn't like, I'm not following anybody. They're following me, motherfucker. No, but yeah, no, this was something I just came up with on my own. I just decided, hey, you know what? I haven't been prescribing to a strict diet lately. The 2 things that I think are the easiest for me to do are just cut out carbs and sugar.
All right.
And I'm not super militant on sugar. Like,
sugar's everywhere.
I don't add sugar. I try not to have things with sugar in them, like added sugar. But like, if I want a piece of fruit, I'll eat a piece of fruit. If I want to put barbecue sauce or ketchup on some sort of something I'm eating, I'm going to do that. I'm not that militant on the sugar thing, but I'm not going to eat like, it's mostly just cutting out grains and bread and rice and all that shit.
Gotcha.
So that's the most simple version of what I'm doing right now.
Damn.
So that's what I decided to do. That and then intermittent fasting works for me, but sometimes it's hard to do.
No, for sure.
Sometimes you want to eat something or have a drink after 8 o'clock, and sometimes I want to eat something before noon.
Yeah, I don't know how the intermittent fasting thing works. I know that you're supposed to.
The idea behind intermittent fasting is that essentially you don't eat for a certain number of hours
During the day.
No.
Oh.
No, including overnight. So
okay.
like 16 hours for males from the studies I've seen seems to be pretty ideal. And for some reason, it's like 12 for females.
Okay.
So like literally if you're a female, if you were to stop eating, don't eat anything after 8 o'clock. And then you don't eat until 8 o'clock the next morning.
Okay.
So, I mean, you're sleeping most of that time. So that should be pretty easy. For guys, 16. So if you stopped eating at 8, you can't eat till noon. Or if you were to stop at 6 or 7, you could start eating at 10 or 11. The idea is that for fasting that long, your body kind of goes into a little mini kind of starvation. It thinks there's no food. So it's like the whole feast or famine thing.
Okay.
It kind of sends your body into a little bit of a famine mode, which it actually causes your body to basically kill and slough off all of the like irregular and problematic cells in your body. So your body essentially does like some spring cleaning on itself to a small level, like through the gut and the biome, but it's actually really good for you.
All right.
So there's a lot more benefits to intermittent fasting than just the calorie restriction because, if you're doing 16 hours, then you're only eating for 8 hours. So the idea is even if you weren't eating a super strictly healthy diet, if you're only consuming food for 8 hours a day, then the likelihood that you're under your ideal calories or at or under is pretty good.
Okay.
But anyways, so those are 2 things I've been doing. I forgot how the hell this...
I don't know. But but no, I think I asked you.
Welcome to Tangents with Tim and Steve.
Tangents, a B-side and also a main episode. Wow, all at the same time. How can we handle this information overload?
It's an AB episode.
I think one of the biggest things, just kind of touching back to what we can do, and we'll definitely continue that on the B-side, it honestly is just... it's so cool because I do remember being part and being alive during a time where there was no... You went down to the Goleta Library, okay? You looked up in the Encyclopedia Britannica, whatever you wanted to learn about, whether that be China or fucking psoriasis dinosaur, pterodactyl, whatever thing. You would look it up, and then that was
psoriasis, forest racist.
Yeah, exactly. Forest racist dinosaur, pterodactyl, yeah. And you look it up and you read as much you could, as much as you could about it, which is usually one of those like newspaper lines, like that. Maybe if it was a really, really big article like China, maybe it would go like 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah.
And if it was really, really something like kind of average, maybe it would go just probably about
let's
maybe
touch on
16
this,
lines.
dude. If you're 20 years old, you may have never seen an actual encyclopedia set.
Maybe.
Like a full-blown encyclopedia set was like...
Dude, there used
almost
to be,
a whole bookshelf worth of books, right?
There used to be. That's how you knew there were rich families on the block because they had encyclopedias.
Because there was door-to-door encyclopedia salesmen.
There were door-to-door encyclopedia salesmen.
I wonder how much a set of encyclopedias cost.
It's probably like $300. It was like $245 or something like that. I remember because we had one that came by.
Because there was because some of the obviously you look at
$245 in the 1980s,
and it was like one. Sometimes they probably had multiple letters in one book, but a lot of them were like one letter per book. So you look at
W and Y,
the
were all
N
the
and the
one.
T. And the R and the S and the they were like huge books, or sometimes maybe you even had like T and like T continued.
But they have everybody like Michael Jordan would be in that along with Mount Rushmore,
Mount St. Helens.
You had everything in these like
the
books.
mountain from Game of Thrones.
And sometimes you would only It was weird. I don't know why this was ever the case, but you could buy specific volumes of it. So if you only wanted S,
right? Yeah, you could just buy S.
Just buy S.
I think there was a show or a joke about that. Like they could only afford one letter, so they had to pick one.
And so that was
I think it was Friends. Maybe it was Joey. But he only bought like the V or something, and so because he was trying to get smarter. I can't remember this.
It's so funny.
And I could
though,
never
but
watch.
that's how you
I
could
could
do
never
it.
watch a show like that right
Could you
now.
imagine
But
just like printing that off, like just we're only printing off more M's today than regular.
Or if your family like only had like 3 letters of the alphabet.
Dude, but it took up a huge. And then I will say that this is my understanding too. There was a home version, and then there was like the library version. The library version down at Goleta Library was like as soon as you walked in, it was off to the left, and it took up the entire an entire rack.
Yeah.
Like it took up their entire rack, and you're like, wow, this is so great. Along with the atlas, and along with like the others, these are maps of the world and stuff like that. But I came from a time like that where, you really didn't know. And remember, we didn't even know who went to the next neighboring school that was like 4 or 5 miles away. We don't even know. And whenever someone would come back, I met this person in Temple this weekend, and they invited us to go to this thing, and you're like, whoa, how do you deal with those outsiders? Now you live in such a global community where, let's say if you wanted to have access to Jane Doe that goes to the next school and over, or fucking knowledge about Michael Jordan, all you had to do is just fucking put it in your phone, type in like 3 words.
It's crazy.
And so it's just like, how do you not be inspired by all of that? Like that shows me like such a crazy growth in humanity, right?
I remember when I was a kid, man, I had a book, and it had and I'm sure it was the publicist address. It wasn't like the home address for every like the top, I think the top political people.
Sure.
And then also like a bunch of different celebrities. So I remember I wrote these guys handwritten letters.
Wow.
I wrote them
That's
letters.
how you had to do it back then.
And they would send me back, a short little note and like a
rubber stamp,
a signed picture. And that was so cool back then. Now you could literally fucking DM The Rock if you want to.
Yeah, you can honestly DM Pauly D and be like,
Pauly D, and say, hey, I want you to stick your meat in my hole.
Jesus Christ. But one of the things is that you can certainly be inspired.
Or you can, reach out to someone from a podcast you like, and they can help you start your own.
Yeah. Thank you, Sofa King.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. I will say this. It's like one of the biggest things that you think about is that you're right. When does it become too much, and when does it become detrimental to your growth as an individual, right? Because I think about one saying, right? Ignorance is bliss, right? You have so much information now. You have so many different ways of connecting and interconnecting.
There's no more ignorance anymore.
I don't think you can.
No.
If you are ignorant about something, that might be because that's the way you want yourself to be, and that's okay. If you don't want to have light shed on everything, that's totally okay.
I think it maybe applies on a topic by topic basis.
Sure.
Like some of the crazy rabbit holes of conspiracies, and I call it conspiracies. It's such a bad word because a lot of times it's like the other night at dinner, like these they were like, dude, when I first told you about the Denver airport, you probably thought I was crazy. Then you actually went there and you saw all the crazy shit.
And I saw how they were advertising their own.
That's funny, dude. That's new.
That's hilarious.
But it's like, they call it the Denver airport conspiracy, but there's no conspiracy. I'm just telling you that there's creepy murals on the walls, and there's creepy fucking statues outside, and there's creepy fucking statues inside, and that there's it's just facts. But a lot of people don't want to know a lot of those facts.
Sure.
There's a lot of weird shit around some of these shootings and 9/11. I'm not going to talk about any of that right now. Don't worry. But what I'm saying is, there's people who want to know all the weird facts that make you wonder about the other facts, and there's people who just don't, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So that could be something where it applies to topic by topic. But in general, with everything, unless you live in a fucking cabin in Montana, I don't see how you could be ignorance is bliss. If anything, if you're only paying attention to the stuff that the lamestream media wants you to see, or the stuff that you just see when you turn on, I would say it's probably the opposite, because I feel like the stuff that you get if you're not really looking is mostly negative and mostly bullshit. Who gives a fuck what the Kardashians are doing?
Yeah, but it just depends on how you use that information, right?
Oh, for sure. If Kim Kardashian somehow inspires you to be a better version of yourself, then by all means, pay attention to Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
She makes me want to vomit, so I'm not going to.
Well, where's that purpose where it tips over to where you stop feeling so confident about yourself, or so confident in who you are? And I will tell you, there's so many different stories, right? And so many different vessels or veins about. I remember living in DC, and there was a guy that literally had heard through some information source, and he brought a gun to a pizza shop, trying to think that.
Oh, you're talking about Pizzagate.
Yeah, Pizzagate.
Oh, dude, don't bring up stories that I have to tear apart.
No. But
information.
How about this? Either which way, it's either which way. It's what kind of information do you use, and how do you use it for yourself, you know? And then in that moment where it gets to be too caustic or it gets to be too toxic for who you need to be or who you need to grow into or who you need to develop into or your original setting out, your original heading about what course you were going to take as an individual, when do you learn to cut it off? And that's like kind of the whole topic about what we're trying to get in touch with today here with everyone that's listening is, hey, dude, there's so many great people. And if you're inspired by maybe you are inspired by people who show their butts on IG, right? You're like, oh man, that inspires me because honestly, I want something like that in my life. If that's what you physically want in your life. And so you're like, I'm going to go hustle hard.
Or if you're like, I want my butt to look like that. But in a healthy way.
But
this inspires me to go to the gym.
This inspires me to go to the gym. Or if you're a man or a woman, or if you're so obsessed with money, you're like, oh, I want to make enough money so I can either get a surgery that does that for myself or find a partner that has that.
Go to TJ and get the fat sucked out of my love handles and shot right into my ass.
No, but like, is that what you want to do? Because like, you know, maybe that's finally the final push that like gets you going to the direction of you think that's the best course for you.
That's what I'm saying. Even if
that's awesome.
Even if it's garbage, because unlike, you know, the food metaphor, if you can take garbage content and turn it into inspiration or motivation, that's awesome. Because you can't do that with fast food unless you had some weird, you're some sort of fucking Terminator robot or something, and you've been retooled.
Terminator robot needs
like,
Egg McMuffins.
Like what was it? Was it one of the Back to the Futures or whatever, where like the car ran on garbage?
Oh yeah, no, the car. It's all the Back to the Futures.
Oh, okay.
The flux capacitor operates on like
garbage?
carbon or something like that, and they have to like throw in like
they put in like
a banana peel.
Okay. Trash. So yeah, I mean, if you can turn content that and you know, if I talk shit about some content, like we try to be kind of funny on this podcast.
We're trying.
But I'm not like, I'm not like, you know, you do you. Anything that you want to do it, and anything or anyone, no matter how trashy I think it is, or Steve thinks it is, or your dad or mom thinks it is, if it helps you get to where you want to be, it helps you with your self-improvement, your self-care, yourself, then fucking do it.
Maybe you're inspired by how dumpy you think our podcast is.
Maybe you're inspired by the headband that Steve's wearing that looks like he stole a sleeve from someone's shirt and put it on his head.
I'm a rock. This is for the Bret Michaels line. This is the Bret Michaels
like Bret
line.
Michaels from the band Poison?
Yeah, or whatever band he's from. Remember how he always wears that little headband thing? Like he wears
the headband and then he wears the trashy fucking white trash cowboy hat over it.
The one that's
not a real cowboy hat. It's like the one you buy
at the swap meet. The Jefferson airplane. What is that? The pilot, the Jefferson pilot, gas stations in the middle of like Wichita.
Tyler one that like somebody. It's like it was never good to begin with, and then somebody stepped on it, and then you like tied a fucking feather onto it, or.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. He's making it work for himself, right?
Oh, dude. You know what, though?
Not only is he making it work for himself, he is killing it for himself. Dude.
And you know what, though? Like, at the end of the day, you know, because I watched for whatever self-deprecating reason or self-destroying reason. Yes, I watched Rock of Love a few episodes somewhere in the first season. And I will say, he seemed like a good dude who genuinely cared about other people.
Dude, you can't...
He's slightly retarded in other facets, but...
Well, I think we all
but
are.
He didn't seem... I guess what I'm saying is he didn't... Now, this is obviously an overproduced television show.
Sure.
He didn't seem like an asshole in the limited exposure that I got to him.
And there you go.
So I'll give him that.
That's all you can.
I appreciate that.
Man,
I like good people.
Yeah, of course, dude. I think good people attract other good people. And if you think that someone is good through your own eyes, own filter, and you got to trust your own judgment, and trust me, there's probably some validating purpose about this individual. But like I said,
and if you're trying to find people, you know, look for people who bring other people up. Look for people who try to lift other people up. You know, I mean, if you really, really, really want some conspiracy theory juice for your conspiracy theory shake, you know, go listen to it. A podcast called Tinfoil Hats with Sam Tripoli. Sam Tripoli is a comedian. But he's just like, he brings a bunch of other comedians on. He brings a bunch of other podcast hosts on his show, and he brings them on to discuss a certain topic, but he will shamelessly plug other people over himself because he's one of these guys that just truly wants everybody to do well.
Yeah.
And like, it comes through, it shows. Well, it's very cool. And so I like that dude. You know, I feel like Joe Rogan, who's bigger than anybody in the game, or pretty much any game at this point. I mean, he's the new... whatever you want to call it.
The Howard Stern of podcasts.
Yeah, but I think he's bigger than Howard Stern's ever been, to be perfectly honest.
If anyone's with be bigger than Howard Stern. Howard Stern was huge, dude.
Yeah, but you used to have to like pay to listen to him.
Yeah, on Sirius XM. Well, anyways, either which way.
It doesn't matter. I guess what I'm saying is, well, no, Howard Stern probably, I never really listened to Howard Stern, but you know, he promoted a lot of people's shit too.
Oh, dude, you have? That's how you stayed in business for so long.
But Joe Rogan does the same thing. Like Joe Rogan really does want to motivate people to do better in life. And I mean, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he goes home and eats babies and like does blood sacrifices. I doubt it because he seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
But I'm just kidding, Joe. I'm sure you're great. But I will say, dude, if Joe's putting on any sort of facade of who he is, that'd be really hard to do because he has at least 9 hours of content every week that come out of him just talking into a microphone.
My God.
Plus whatever else he does, with UFC and his
and he's got a family life too.
And he has, I think two daughters, 2 or 3 daughters. I think 2 daughters. He has he has a few kids and a wife. Yeah, seems like a good dude. But I just, it comes down to, if something inspires you, then use it, but use it. Don't let it use you.
Yeah.
And if something doesn't inspire you, then fucking get rid of it.
I would say that this too. My take.
Talking about you.
I know. My take on this is that hey, if something's inspiring you and motivates you to become better, do more for yourself, that's awesome. Track your progress along the way because you're obviously growing and building along that whole section, right? So if you see something on that makes you want to travel, or you see something that makes you want to go back to school even, or try a new job and finally get there, and you're tracking yourself along the way, that's awesome. Keep on tracking yourself. It's amazing. But along the way, know who you are, know what your developments are, know what kind of like progress you're making, so that when that moment comes where that inspiration is no longer serves its purpose, and maybe it serves as a detriment, maybe it kind of creates some insecurity, like, oh, maybe I haven't reached that point, or I haven't gotten my degree yet. Don't ever look at like all the points that you went through all the education of what you learned and still applied yourself and still put yourself out there. Don't ever look at those as the failure marks, look at those as just all your accomplishments, like your mini accomplishments to still your greater goal of what you're still working towards. And then know when to say goodbye. Like, sometimes people kind of come in your life and they come in for that moment and they help push you out to that next level, and then they can no longer kind of lift you anymore. And you don't need to say goodbye to them, but maybe it's time for you to you realize that you've grown from that point.
Maybe it's like,
and you can move forward.
Maybe it's like goodbye for now.
Yeah, goodbye for now.
I'll be back later.
Sure. And then they might come up to that level, whatever you're at. Or you might take a step back down and you might be like, okay, well, you know what? I reached the highest peak, but I realized that wasn't the best view. So maybe now down 50 feet lower, I really like that view a lot better because I could see more. Or maybe it wasn't as cold, or maybe it wasn't as hot. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's it. So you need to realize that when something becomes serves as starts becoming an insecurity versus the inspiration, then it's okay to say goodbye too.
Well, and another thing that I just thought of right now is inspiration. If you're going to use inspiration to do something, then get as much of it as you need and then go do that thing. Like, because I don't know, in my head, I was thinking about looking at like Instagram posts that inspire you, but then doing it for like 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a great use of your time. Maybe do it for 15 minutes and then go to the gym if that's what you're trying to get inspired to do.
Yeah. But sometimes all you need is like a really, really quick look, and you're like, oh,
Yeah. Otherwise, you just get dragged into it, and then you end up doing nothing.
Then you just kind of go down that 3-hour rabbit hole,
and then your face just starts to melt.
If you ever listen to this, if you're listening to this episode, please know that like this came from an ideal topic that honestly, I was looking on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, I saw somebody like we're doing a workout and I was like, oh man, it made me feel bad that I wasn't at the gym myself today. But then I also said to myself, well, I mean, I've been at the gym more so in the last month than I have been in the last year. You know what I mean? And that's because of Instagram. That's because I just want to I'm inspired by like people that are getting in shape and on their hustle. And I was like, and actually lifting weights. So instead of like looking at, oh, I didn't go to the gym today because look, they're still at the gym. You know what? Their life is their life. They probably get paid to do that, or maybe they don't get paid to do that. Maybe that's the only thing in their lives. Well, I got a lot of other great things happening in my life, including this podcast.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you kind of need to like turn that little mirror upside down and around. But yeah.
Just break it with a hammer, man.
Yeah, dude.
Break the fucking mirror.
Break the mold. Break the mirror, man.
Dude, I haven't worked. Well, no, I kind of worked out at my parents' house. My mom got one of those. Remember those Chuck Norris?
Yeah, you're saying a Bowflex or something.
Dude, Total Gym.
Total Gym.
It's the one with the pulleys and the.
How is that, man? Is that a good workout?
Fucking awesome. Yeah, I
love
it.
It's only your body weight.
Yeah, but then you can change the incline of the ramp.
Oh, to get it like
so like if you're all the way, if you're at a high incline, then your body weight is a lot harder to pull up or push up or whatever. I was surprised. It was very cool, and because it's just pulleys and ropes, I feel like I worked out a lot of like weird stabilizer muscles that you don't normally work out with machines.
Sure,
because you kind of have to balance it out. No, I really liked it, man, and I think they got it like it was like eBay for like $100.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's actually really, really cool.
You should put one in your garage.
Yeah, definitely put that. All right. Well, thank you very much to those listening.
Yes.
We had some thoughts on my mind. I had to get off. And so, dude, I'm glad you could come along with that Project Reclamation journey here.
Just on this little road trip down Reclamation Lane.
Reclamation Lane.
And,
Reclamation Road.
We're happy you could take a ride with us.
Hey, man.
Because, you're our ride or die fans.
Dude, if you're listening by now.
Nobody needs to die.
If you're listening by now and you haven't already died.
You're still listening and you haven't died of boredom or you haven't gotten so stupid that you just died because you forgot to drink water or breathe, then we salute you.
We salute you.
So all I can say is you do you, boo. Be good. Peace out.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.